I'm Chandler Morrison, and this is Playoff. Gosh! Playoff. You guys can't take anything seriously. Welcome to Playoff-Ology. I'm Chandler Morrison here with John Boston. Listen, if you listen to the SCTM Preps podcast, this is not going to be anything like that. Me and John, we're a little hipper. We're not younger than Chris. Well, we are younger than Chris, but not too much younger. Wink, wink. But we are a little bit hipper, and this is going to be a different kind of show. We're going to go straight in and just talk about all of the playoff possibilities. We're going to go through every bracket in our area. 1A, 2A, 3A, 4A, 5A, 6A, Division II, AA, Division II, AAA. And I will go ahead and say, if you're a Grace Baptist fan, we love you, but we're not going to be talking about that bracket because they are not projected to make that bracket right now, and I don't think they will be. We could be surprised, but I don't think they will be. So I'm going to put John's face on camera. John, how are we doing? Tell the people how you doing.
We're doing good today. You know, this been going over this. I'm ready to get into it and share what I feel like is knowledge. But I'm sure once I spit it out of my mouth, it's probably going to be a bunch of hoopla.
Bunch of hoopla. I like it, John. I like it. All right, so let's get right into this. I think this is – we're going to start with the 1A bracket here, John. I think this is going to be I don't think this is going to be an interesting bracket to talk about because I think it's pretty set. Right now, let's just go through it with the people real quick. We got South Pittsburgh as the 1 seed. Copper Basin is a 2 seed. Right now, I've got Lookout Valley as the 3 seed, and I've got Sale Creek as the 4 seed, although yesterday that was a really, really tough decision for me because Sale Creek, they've won after losing 4 of their 4 first games. They've won 3 straight, and the last 2 that they've won have both been overtime games. So, to me, what I'm really looking at here, John, is, I think the question is going to be Sale Creek, Lookout Valley, because I don't think Whitwell is going to – I don't think Whitwell plays Lookout Valley at the end of the season. And if they beat Lookout Valley, they'll be in the playoffs. If they don't, they'll be on the outside looking in. But right now, I think Lookout Valley is as good a team as Sale Creek, and Sale Creek took Whitwell to 3 overtime. So, and by the way, on the other side, we're going to say this real quick. We don't know a whole lot about these others. That's what Playoff-Ology lets us do. By the time we get to the second, third show in Playoff-Ology, what we'll start to see and what you'll start to see as the viewer is the fact that we'll know more about those other regions because we'll kind of have a finger on those regions, figuring out what's going on with them. So the number 1 seed for Class 1A in the region 3-4, Gordonsville at 1. Monterey at 2, Clay County at 3, and then Joe Burns at 4. And honestly, I think that the Lookout Valley, if Sale Creek plays Monterey, because I think Sale Creek, Lookout Valley, that's a toss-up. That's 3A and 3B right now in my mind. If Sale Creek gets in that matchup with Monterey, I'm interested to see how that one goes. Because I think Sale Creek has got some guts about them this year, and they've found something in the tank, and they've just kind of – now, I don't know if they'll make a run, but that could be one that would be interesting to watch because I think it could be a potential upset. And the way Copper Basin is going, of course, they lost Bryson Grabowski. They didn't have him this past Friday night, and then they lost him at Men's Central, which, by the way, we talked about this on the podcast yesterday, but Men's Central, since Derek Davis has taken over, is 4-0 against teams in Polk County. Of course, he was at Polk County for 19 years. So, that being said, I think Copper Basin, I don't think they're going to beat South Pittsburgh. I think they've got to be the 2 seed here. I think what worries me is they've got to play Clay County, who will probably be a pretty decent team, and I could see them getting to the second round. I just don't see them getting to the quarterfinals, John.
Yeah, Chandler, there's a lot of factors that go into this, but South Pittsburgh is a dang good team right now.
Oh, yeah.
And, Copper Basin are going to have to bring their A game, and they're probably going to need more than that to beat a South Pittsburgh team that just got handed their first loss, and they're mad now, and they're fixing to – I think you're going to see a whole different South Pittsburgh team come out in the next couple of weeks, going in the playoffs. They're going to be showing people, that they still mean business, and so I think you'll see South Pittsburgh at 1, Copper at 2.
Yeah, I don't see really a lot of change in that one, John. Let's go ahead and keep moving this along. And by the way, at the end of the show, we'll kind of have some talk and some conversation overall. I think I've got one or two things I haven't sprung. One of these I haven't even sprung on John before, so I want to see what his thoughts are on this later. And John, let's talk about Class 2A now. Now, Class 2A in our area, the only one we have to worry about in Class 2A, Regions 1 and 2, is, of course, Meigs County. Everybody else in our area is will be in the 3-4 bracket here in a minute. Let's talk about this one for a second. By the way, in Meigs County's region, Meigs County number 1, Oneida number 2, Rockwood number 3, and Cumberland Gap number 4. South Green is the number 1 seed on the other side, followed by Hampton, Happy Valley, and Cosby. John, when you look at this bracket, since we're only going to talk about Meigs County in this bracket, I have to say there are two good teams, I think, in this pod right here that could potentially be, and they'll have to face them in successive weeks if everything goes right, but two that could be potential, I'm not going to say bracket busters, but could take them down to the wire, could be tough games, could potentially be an upset. I think South Green is still a good team. I don't know if they're as good as Meigs County, but what I see a little bit more is I think Hampton, they're 5-0. I don't know. They may end up getting the 1 seed here. I think that Hampton is going to be a team. They usually, every couple of years, Hampton comes into the playoffs, and they're one of these teams that can make the quarterfinals, can make the semifinals. I think for me, when I look at this bracket, the two teams really that I think could trip up Meigs County are Hampton and, of course, Oneida, which was the 2 seed in their region. I think they played them this week or next week 1. So I'm interested to see what Oneida does with Meigs County here in a week or two, because I want to see if that's a close game and if Meigs County is going to have any trouble with them. Because remember, for some people who don't know, Oneida, they were playing Upperman here, a couple weeks ago, and they, Upperman's a little bit down this year, but Oneida, I think that final score was like 7-0 or 14-7 or something like that. It was a one score game, 7-0, yeah. Mm-hmm. Go ahead, John.
Oh yeah. I didn't mean to cut you off, Chandler.
No, you're fine. I was about to hand it off to you anyway. I was like, well, he's going to take it now. Let's go.
But no, I just don't see anybody in that region competing with Meigs. Oneida, in that region, I think Oneida's going to have the closest shot. But I think Meigs County is, just too good. They replaced Aaron Swafford with someone that, at times he may look a little bit better, but Meigs County, they haven't missed a beat all year. Mm-hmm. And I think everybody thought that, including myself, I thought, that they were poised to have somewhat of a down year, like a 2-3 loss season. But they've really turned it on, and I wouldn't be surprised if, you and Chris are talking about Meigs County,
I would not be either.
The week before the state championship into the week of the state championship. So they've got a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, I think that's going to be, here's the thing. I think if any of our teams, and we'll talk about this, we'll go ahead and go to this next bracket. If any of our teams from this bracket, which is the regions 3 and 4A, which is what we're going to next, if they get past the quarterfinals, I think Meigs is the team they're going to be facing. I just don't think that anybody's going to be – I don't think anyone's going to upset them. I think they may have some close games there. Oneida, like I said, Oneida, Hampton, those two games scare me. But I think as far as Meigs County, I think they'll be playing these teams. Let's go to Regions 3 and 4. Class 2A, you've been looking at this for about 15 seconds now while we've been talking here. Bledsoe County, number 1, and this is in Region 3. Bledsoe County, number 1, Marion County, number 2, Tyner, number 3, and in Tellico Plains, number 4. Now, I will go ahead and say this. Bledsoe County, Tyner, and Marion County and Bledsoe County are already set. They're in my mind, they're already set. Now, they're officially set. They could still lose games, but no, they're not going to. I think Tyner's in the same position. I think Tyner, what you're going to see from them is that I think they beat Tellico Plains, I believe. I think they played them about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. So I think Tyner doesn't have any issue because Tellico was the only one that would worry me. I think they've got Polk County left on the schedule if they haven't already played them. And John's got all my stats and all my important information over there, so I'm just going off the top of my head over here. But, for this one, I think and John, I want you to think about this. We'll go ahead and tell you this. Watertown, number 1, Trousdale, number 2, Jackson, number 3, and Cascade, number 4 out of that Region 4. That puts Tyner and Trousdale County in the first round. And so, if you had any hope for Tyner, because here's the thing. If Tyner were to somehow lose and be pushed down to the 4 seed, guess who they get? They get Watertown. So you're going to get Watertown or Trousdale County. I think they've already played, so they've decided already that Watertown is that number 1 seed. So you've got Trousdale County or Watertown you got to face now, and it just doesn't look good for Tyner. Now, Marion County, they get Jackson County in the first round with these playoff projections. By the way, we do want to say that these are just projections. These are not, if the season ended today, these are not, this is how we think at the end of the season things will shake out. So this is a little bit thinking, okay, this team's going to beat this team going to beat this team, this is who I think is going to win between these two teams. This is a lot of projection. That's why we start this in week 8. We don't start it in week 1, because who knows in week 1 how the season would shake out. And I don't think me and John would have enough time to do this show all 11 weeks plus some. So let's go ahead and do this real quick. John, by the way, Bledsoe County Cascade, I don't see any issue with that. Tellico, Watertown, I don't see any issue with that. Watertown's going to blow them by. To me, I think the second round is the most important thing here, and I think for Bledsoe County, they're automatically going to get Trousdale County. I think for Watertown, they're automatically going to get Marion County. So I think that that's going to be the deciding factor on who – and what I mean by that is that when you talk about between regions 3 and 4, we're going to see where the gaps are. We won't see it week 1, I don't think, except maybe that Trousdale-Tyner game. I think we'll see the gaps week 2 when Bledsoe County plays Trousdale and Marion plays Watertown. We'll see how the number 1s match up against the number 2s, and I think that's what this bracket would shake out to be if we're at that point.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't think Bledsoe's going to have any problem against Cascade, and Marion County, I don't see them having any problem against Jackson County. After that first round.
And you know what? Jackson County has a better record than Marion County, and we still think that they would probably beat Jackson County.
Yeah, Marion.
Is that the one that played Sell Creek and kind of struggled?
I think it was. Yeah,
I think they lost to Sell Creek, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no. Let's see, they beat them.
They either beat him or they played a close game with him, I think. I think they beat him. I think that was the 56-30 something game I think maybe was against Jackson County. Anyway, go ahead with what you were saying, John. We'll figure that out later.
That's a discussion for another day. But anyways, that second round, we're really going to see what this region's made out of, because, Trousdale and Watertown, that's two teams that they're always solid, year in and year out. And that's a different breed of football with those two teams. And personally, I think if there was a team to upset somebody, I think it'd be Marion County right now.
Yeah, I think the way they're headed, I think that's where you're looking at with Marion County is I think that they are really going to struggle in the playoffs, and if they don't, they're going to upset somebody. If they get things rolling toward the end of the season, they really, I think, are going to upset somebody. And I'm actually looking at that Sell Creek game. I'm looking for that Sell Creek game right now, which is why I'm not looking at the camera. But yeah, I think this is they did play Jackson County. They lost 44-26, so they did lose that game. But 44, you let Sell Creek score 26 points on you. I mean, that's not a good look. It's just not. But let's go ahead and move to 3A. And what I really like about 3A, John, here is the fact that the two regions we have in our area that include Chattanooga area teams, they both go into each other, which is really, really nice. We get to get two regions in one here. So let's talk about Region 3A first. Loudon is at number 1. I have Loudon at number 1. I still think they're good as they were last year. I think they could beat Red Bank. I think it will be a closer game this year than it was last year. But I still think I've got Loudon winning that game against Red Bank. Red Bank, I got number 2. Brainerd, number 3. And I've got Sweetwater. I've got Signal Mountain completely out of the playoffs here. Because, I think with all the COVID wins for Signal Mountain, or COVID losses for Signal Mountain, I think they were going to play – I don't know if they play Sweetwater. I think they play Sweetwater later this season if they haven't already played them already or had a COVID loss against them. And so I think that right now Sweetwater's the better team than Signal Mountain. I think they would win that game. So Signal Mountain could be on the outside looking in. That's number 1 when you talk about Region 3A. Number 2 is Brainerd with a 3 seed. You don't want seed because you're Brainerd, you have a 4 seed, you got to go up against Upperman, who is really, and we'll go ahead and talk about this for a second. Upperman, number 1. Number 2, I've got Smith County. Number 3, I've got Sequatchie County. Number 4, I've got York, and that's 3 and 4 we're gonna find that out here in a little bit. Here I think it's a week or 2 weeks from now. When do they play York?
What is it now?
Sequatchie York. When do they
This
play?
week.
They play then this week, so we'll find out actually in week 9 here who's going to get that 3 seed, who's going to get that 4 seed, because that's ultimately what is at play here. For me, with Brainerd, I think that you have to have that 3 seed on the other end, because I think if you get that 4 seed, it's going to be a hard road up because you got Upperman, then you've got Red Bank, and then you're going to have to play Loudon. And instead, you may get Smith County, then you get Loudon, and that could potentially be where you're looking at, because I think Brainerd, they didn't benefit from early in the season being able to play, Red Bank, and I think they're going to end up with a 3 seed when it's all said and done. And for Sweetwater, I hate it for them, but they're probably going to end up playing Upperman and be out in the first round. And actually, I don't know with Upperman how they've been this year. Upperman has just been so inconsistent. Am I right, John?
Oh no, you're right. It's just the whole region. That whole region, it just has a different feel than it did, especially 2, 3, 4 years ago, Chandler. It's just a weird feeling.
It feels like it's almost. It feels like it's in like what would you call it? It feels like a purgatory, almost. Is that a good comparison? I mean,
I don't know what that word means.
That's what they say. Like it's purgatory. It's where you're like the ghost. You don't go to heaven or hell. You're just like the ghost. You're like a ghost, kind of going around, because it just feels so empty, and it feels like it's not fulfilling the purpose that it was a couple of years ago, where Upperman might have a chance to go to the state championship. Sequatchie County went to the semifinals. Smith County has always been a good team. I just. It feels like that. And by the way, we may talk about this next. I think we're going to talk about this next episode because I hadn't prepared anything about this. But when we talk about the classification, they're changing. Mm-hmm. York is potentially going out, and Upperman is potentially is going down, and Upperman is potentially going up. And so I wonder if Sequatchie County and Grundy County will finally kind of be in that region with the Red Banks, the Brainards, the Signal Mountains, those kind of teams. I think that would be an interesting region to watch, honestly.
Just off the top of your head, if that happened, would you see Loudon move up to like the region with Alcoa, do you think?
Is Alcoa projected to move up again?
No. But I'm just saying, if you lose Upperman and York, and they move Sequatchie County and Grundy to the Chattanooga region, mm-hmm. You think they push out Loudon and bring those two in? And just right off the top of your head.
Yeah, I don't know that Alcoa will ever be in a region with ours because Loudon.
I'm talking like Loudon moving to Alcoa's region with.
Loudon. Yeah, I could totally see that. Yeah, and that could definitely push Loudon out for us, but that's not going to make it any easier. I think Loudon being in this region actually helps these teams because it lets them see that Knoxville talent, and it lets them see a team that is worthy of going to the semifinals. And if you're going to go to the semifinals, you got to beat them before you ever get to the semifinals. So I think that's good for our area. I don't want to see Loudon go, and I do love the Loudon fans. Me and Chris have talked about this before. Any other thoughts on this bracket right here, John?
Can I use a term of yours?
Uh-oh.
You want to see a nugget? You want to hear a nugget?
Is it McDonald's or Chick-fil-A?
You tell me after I tell you.
Okay.
In Region 4 3A, there is only one team in that region that has a record. I know you know who that is, but Upperman has a 5-2 record and a 3-0 region record. That is the only team with a winning record in that region.
Here's the thing, John. I'm looking at the bracket, and I know you're not wrong because the other 3 we have up here besides Upperman, they all have losing records. So if they have a losing record, everybody else has a losing record. Yeah. And I mean, you're talking about 2 teams here. You're talking about York, who is 1-6 right now. You're talking about Smith County, who is 2-5 right now. Sequatchie County, who's 2-5. Upperman is literally. We talk about how inconsistent Upperman has been. They're still the best team in that region by far, just on record alone. But it just shows you how crazy this season has been and how weird and backwards 4-3A is. At one point, 4-3A was a very competitive region, and it was one of the regions that they were going to send somebody to the semifinals year in and year out. But now it's kind of turned toward Region 3.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, you can keep saying it.
Never.
Never.
Chris, if you hear that, I had slipped.
Yeah, well, let's talk about let's talk about Class 4A now. You're done with 3A, right? I don't need to go back there, right? Okay. Let's talk about Class 4A now. Right now, we've got in our Chattanooga area region, Anderson County, I've got at number 1. Number 2, I've got East Hamilton. Number 3, I've got Howard. Number 4, I've got East Ridge. Now, the top 3 right there, the bottom 2 right there, I think East Hamilton and Anderson County are both going to have home playoff games, no matter what. I think there's a tier in that region. Both those teams are in that top tier. If you'd asked me before the season who else I thought was going to be in that top tier, you know how I would have told you. I would have told you Howard. Well, Howard is not in that top tier, although they're not too far off. I mean, they're far off from that tier, but they're not, they're also on a tier to themselves, compared to everybody else. For me, Anderson County and East Hamilton are number 1, number 2, no matter what. Howard, it's still in the air. They'll get to play East Ridge here in, I think it's not this week, but next week, I believe. When they play that game, that'll decide who gets the 3 seed. And then if East Ridge plays its cards right, they've still got to win out. They've got Sequoia, which is going to be a pushover, but they've also got Hickson. And honestly, don't count Hickson out of this. We talked about this last week. They were up 5-0 in East Hamilton. Didn't end up mattering. But I think Hickson is a much-improved team, and don't count Hickson out of this because all they got to do is win against East Ridge, and they're in, basically. They got to take care of business in other places, but they're in if they do that. And to me, Chattanooga Central really lost their chance last week when they played East Ridge to get that 4 seed. Just real quick on the other side, Elizabethton at number 1, and they used to be in 3A, by the way. I know because that was you were either going to play them or Alcoa coming out of the East, and it always ended up being Alcoa. Elizabethton at number 1, Greenville at number 2, Sullivan South number 3, and Sullivan East at number 4. By the way, Sullivan South, North, and East all in the same region. And is there a Sullivan West?
I think there is, but I think.
Or there's Central. It's Central. It's Sullivan Central, I believe.
There's Sullivan
Central. Sullivan North. There is a Sullivan North, but it's not in this.
There's 4 Sullivan schools, though. 3 of them's in this region. And I think there's a Sullivan West in a higher-up region.
It's either Sullivan West or Sullivan North. Oh, is the Sullivan North in here?
No,
in this region?
You got Southeast and Central.
Okay, so it's the North. I don't think there's a West. I think it's a North.
Yeah.
But anyways, that's just a little tidbit for some of the people that may not know and may not follow the brackets all that often. John, I look at the matchups here, and I got to say Howard and Greenville, I think Greenville's going to just demolish that. East Hamilton, number 2, I kind of like their chances against Sullivan South, although they have the same record as Sullivan South at the moment. I still think they would have a pretty good chance to go on the second round, but they've got Elizabethton. I don't know that Elizabethton and Greenville have played each other. Have they already played each other there, John? I'm sure we'll know all this information next week because we'll remember it. But Greenville and Elizabethton, I think they play at the end of the season, don't they?
Yeah.
So that number 1, number 2, and that other seed is not decided. So for East Hamilton, they could either be playing Greenville or Elizabethton in the second round, and I think either one of them is going to be a tough task, although I think Greenville is down this year compared to what they have been in the past. Elizabethton seems to be the top dog in that region. When you look at these matchups, is there anything that sparks your eye or anything that just kind of jumps off the page for you?
No, I see that you have Anderson County at 1 and East Hamilton 2. So you're saying if they play today that Anderson County would win?
They still are yet to play. I think when that game happens, I think Anderson County will win that game because Anderson County hasn't proven to me that they're going to lose a game against East Hamilton. East Hamilton hasn't. I think East Hamilton is much improved from what they were last year. Don't get me wrong. They've got a lot of great talent. They've got a lot of great people, kids out there. And listen, Anderson County is Anderson County. I think we have to kind of look at this as an Alcoa situation where until we're proven wrong, they're not. Anderson County is not a statewide. Oh, they're going to win the state. No, but as far as this bracket right here, as far as our region, until proven otherwise, Anderson County is the top dog to me in my mind. And I think for me, and I'm sure once that game happens, we'll know for sure. And if East Hamilton were to pull off the upset there, East Hamilton's moving to number 1. That's what that game is going to decide. It's going to be the de facto region championship.
Yeah, and I think that's the last game of the season, ain't it? I want to say it is.
It's either last or next to last.
So it's coming up.
It's either 2 or 3
That's
weeks. I can't remember how.
It's going to be a good one.
It is going to be a good one to watch. I think And East Hamilton might have their number this year. I don't know. I think that's where we're at with that.
I've noticed too, like a lot of these that a lot of these games, it's coming down to the wire. The team's trying to get in and the
trying to get home playoff games.
And they all seem to be playing the team that they have to fight against the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and here's the thing. I don't think we've seen a lot of people. I think we've already got the home and away, whether you're going to be home or away, kind of settled. Most of these regions that we've seen so far, the number 1, number 2 seed are settled pretty much. And I think we may get some that are not, but we have 1 and 2 seeds are settled where, the 3 seed and the 4 seed may not be so settled. And then you have the 4 seed that's not completely settled either in a lot of these regions. I think that's where we're at there. Anything else on 4A before we move on?
I'm good.
You're good? Okay. Let's talk about 5A real quick. By the way, in Class 5A in Region 4, which is the region that we're in here in the Chattanooga area, all 4 teams in that region, there's only 4, they all make the playoffs. Ray County at number 1. I've got Walker Valley at number 2, Soddy Daisy at number 3, Lenoir City at number 4. That's what I've got. Lenoir City at 4, I don't think they're going to move. Walker Valley, they're not going to move. I think they've already played Ray County. They've not played Soddy Daisy, though, so they have the potential.
Coming this week,
That's this week. This week or next week, one, I believe.
Yeah,
I think it's East Hamilton, Walker Valley this week.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Soddy Daisy next week.
Yeah.
By the way, it's always fascinating to how me and John's minds work, because we're sitting here and we're trying to figure out, like, we know things that shouldn't be humanly possible, like, oh, this person is playing this person in 3 weeks. And most people are like, I just want to know who my team's playing this week. But anyways, we've got Soddy Daisy at 3, Lenoir City at 4, Walker Valley at 2, Ray County at 1. Walker Valley and Soddy Daisy can still be decided. If Soddy Daisy, I just think Walker Valley is a better team. I think Soddy Daisy has not been as impressive as they have been in the past few years. It just, to me, Walker Valley is, I think they need to figure out how to finish. That's the big thing for them. Mm-hmm. And if they don't finish against Soddy Daisy can get that number 2 seed, and Walker Valley can be on the outside looking in as far as a home playoff game. Again, I think they had that situation last year where if they won that game, they go in, home playoff game. But this year, they're in the same situation, and could it happen again? Possibly it could happen again. Real quick on the other side, Knoxville West at number 1, Powell at number 2. They played this past week, so that's pretty much settled right there. Knoxville West won that game. That was the game that was on Thursday night. Lots in or Thursday night, whatever the Thursday night one is in Knoxville. Yeah. So 1 Knoxville West, 2 Powell, 3 Oak Ridge, and 4 is Fulton. For me, Oak Ridge is always a tough team. It doesn't matter when you get them. Whether the 1 seed or the 4 seed, Oak Ridge is always going to be tough. Ray County, I think, with Fulton is going to have an okay time. I think they're going to struggle with Powell in the second round. I think Walker Valley, if they learn how to finish, they can play with Oak Ridge, but I don't know if they'll win against Oak Ridge. That's the 2 that I look at. And here's the thing. Soddy Daisy Powell, I just don't think Soddy Daisy has a chance in that game. I really don't. It's not to say anything bad about Soddy Daisy. It's just I think that Powell is just that good of a team. Your number 1, your number 2 are not that far removed. I think they had a really close game. I think it was a 1 or 2 touchdown game, like a close game there at the end in that ball game. First thoughts on this projection right here.
Yeah, something that sticks out to me is, this Region 3 5A is, they, I don't keep up with them faithfully, but, looking at it on paper, they seem like a real gritty team. Mm-hmm. Well, not a team, but a region. It would something else too. Walker Valley was 3 points away from getting the number 1 seed.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so I mean, and at the start of the season, I would have said Walker Valley would probably have been number 1. Mm-hmm. Honestly.
Yeah.
And Ray's always good. You can always count Ray, but I figured Walker Valley would have taken that next step and. Mm-hmm. We'd have seen Ray at 2 and Walker at 1, but things didn't work out that way. But after that first round, I think we can see Ray County definitely get past Fulton. Like you said, Walker Valley's shake-up game. I think they can beat them, but once they beat that, I
don't think they could beat them today.
Yeah,
I think if they have matured by that point, I think they could beat them then. But
I felt like Walker Valley, was always. If you look at them, they're always getting better. Even last year, a team that how many games they win 2 years?
3. I think 2 years ago they didn't win a game. I don't think. I think they won 3 games last season, and now they're in a position where they've already went over that. I think they're 4-2 right now.
Them and Lenore City was always fighting for that one win.
Yep.
And now you got Walker Valley fighting for that number 1 spot in that region.
Yeah. If Walker Valley had been able to finish, they're looking at the driver's seat, and all they got to do is win against Cy Daisy, and they're the number 1 seed. To me, I think they really just kind of shot themselves in the foot with that Ray County game.
Yeah.
Because now they got. I would have been okay with them playing Fulton. I would have been okay with maybe getting the win there. I think Fulton's a really good team, and I think they would have struggled. I didn't think they would have struggled as much. For me, Oak Ridge, it's going to be a tougher matchup than Fulton. I think it is because Oak Ridge is just more consistent than Fulton has been here in the past few years from everybody I talked to in Knoxville.
Yeah, I think once you get past that second round, personally, I don't see a Chattanooga team coming out of that second round. Because I
don't either.
You got Powell and Knoxville West, and Knoxville West is a pretty good team.
Both of them are a really good team. I could see them playing again in the quarterfinals, and Powell pulling it out. I mean, that's just these two have been. Let's go into 6A real quick. Regions 1, Regions 2. Regions 1 and 2, I should say. Let's start with our region, which is Region 2. Maryville at number 1, I've got them there. Until they lose, I'm not pulling them out. And that's one of those things I'm not even going to project that McMinn County is going to beat them. McMinn County at number 2 is where I've got them right now. I think McMinn County is a better team than Bradley Central. Bradley Central at 3. I've got Cleveland at 4, but that's probably – I'm not confident with that. I think that they're better than William Blount. I think they're better than Ooltewah, but they've still got to play Ooltewah. I put them there because I need a placeholder, pretty much. I mean, that's why I put them there, because I think that will be a little bit wide. If they don't play their cards right, they're gonna struggle. For me, Maryville, number 1, clearly. I think Bradley Central, that game that they play is going to probably decide who's at home and who's on the road. Unless McMinn County somehow the week before, I think they play Maryville and then they play Bradley Central, I believe, or is it the other way around?
Steve McMinn and Bradley's last game.
So they will play Maryville before they play Bradley Central. If McMinn County somehow goes in and beats Maryville, and we're talking about a major upset. I don't know if you saw this stat that we talked about in the podcast yesterday. Bradley Central is one of 5 teams since 2013 that has led Maryville at the half. I mean, that's a crazy stat to throw out there. They joined pretty good company. And so McMinn County, and by the way, Maryville has been less consistent this year than they have since 2000. They have not, and by the way, this year they went 3 games in a row without scoring 30 points. Okay, the last time they went 3 games in a row being held to less than 30 points was 2000. The last time they were held in 2 straight games to less than 30 points was 2010. I mean, that's just insane. That's a Maryville stat for you, but it just shows you can't – I can't hold Maryville. I mean, they're as inconsistent as they've been in probably 10, 20 years, John. But their inconsistency, like I told Chris yesterday, is still better than most people's consistency. I mean, that's what you're looking at.
Yeah.
By the way, the other side of this, Dobbins Bennett, number 1, Science Hill at number 2, Farragut number 3, Bearden number 4. John, your thoughts on that bracket?
Yeah, I think me and you we aligned pretty good on that one. The number 4 spot for is it Region 2? Yeah, Region 2. I have Cleveland in there right now, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit to see Ooltewah in there. And I don't think we're going to see I don't think we're going to see William Blount or Blunt, however you call it. But I think Cleveland Noodle, the rest of their season is going to be very dependent on how they, or their place in making the playoffs are going to depend on how they play the rest of the season. That's what I was trying to get out. But McMinn County is, after this week, it's not an ideal spot for them because they got to make sure they got to play. They get a home game versus Maryville, and then they got the next week to go to Bradley Central. So that's two teams that they got to play, and that's a heavy load going in the postseason.
Yeah, and I got to say, I think it's going to be Maryville Dobbins Bennett in that quarterfinal matchup. I just don't see it coming out any other way. Both of those teams are just good, just so good. Let's go ahead and go to Division II AA. Like I said, we're not going to do Division II Single A unless Grace Baptist gets in that conversation. I don't think they're in that conversation yet. And by the way, it's a huge bracket. It's got East. You can be playing anywhere from Memphis to Johnson City in that Single A bracket. Let's go ahead and go to AA. Right now, in the top side of that bracket, we got all the East teams, John. I've got CAK at number 1. I've got Knoxville Grace at number 2. Knoxville Webb at number 3, and Chat Christian at number 4. By the way, this Division II AA bracket is probably the weirdest that you will see because you have teams that you literally have teams playing teams that are in their region in the first round, which makes no sense to me at all. But I guess they figured it out because they have an East, Middle, and West bracket.
I think.
And by the way, I want you to note this: only in the East bracket in AA, in Division II AA, are teams. Because here's the thing: in the Middle and West in Division II AA, every team in those regions makes the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
In the East, there are teams that actually miss the playoffs, and that does not make any sense to me at all either. Because if you want to be fair across the board and give everybody their even shot, that's what the TWSAA has always kind of been about, is giving everybody their shot. You can't do that. But that's another thing for another day. Silverdale, and by the way, I've got Silverdale at 5 for the East as well.
They get, let's see, does East and West get 6 teams? And Middle get 5?
East gets 5. Middle gets 6.
No, Middle's only got 5 teams in it.
I know that we get 5, they get 5, and then I think the West gets 6 because I think they've got more teams in there than we do. I think that's how it. Am I missing R6? Is R6 in there? I think R6 because all the East is on one side. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, you got East and Middle on one, then West and Middle on the other.
Yeah, Middle is all the way through. That's why you got 2 number 1 seeds when you're looking at this. If you're looking at this, ladies and gentlemen, yes, you're not mistaken. That's 2 1 seeds. That Lipscomb Academy there, they are the number 1 seed from the Middle. And BGA is the 4 seed from the Middle, and Franklin Road is the 5 seed from the Middle region. Chattanooga Christian coming at number 4. They play who they just played this past week and beat Knoxville Grace. That's what we got them projected to play right now. I think they're a good team. And here's the thing with Chat Christian: they're 2-2, but they're going to make the playoffs because I think their region schedule is going to be really tight. Silverdale, they get Lipscomb Academy first round. That's one team in the state that I would not want to go against. Trent Dilfer is their head coach. Golly, I would not want to go against Lipscomb in the first round. Of course, CAK and Franklin Road, I think they'll get to the second round. Chat Christian, if they play Knoxville Grace again, who knows how that game will go. Silverdale, I think, is going to the second round. I think I told Chris earlier this season, I said, I would not be shocked if our Division II AA teams don't get past, we don't have a single Division II AA team in the second round. I would not be shocked whatsoever. Because Notre Dame's not where they should be. Boyd Buchanan's not where they should be. They're not even in the playoff talk. Silverdale is doing better, but Chat Christian is the only one in the conversation, and they're the 4 seed. I mean, that's where they're at, and that's where they're struggling to go. And they're going to play someone in the 4 seed. They're going to play someone in their own region. John, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I think I think I've got Chattanooga Christian at number 3. That East number 3 spot there. I think that running back core back there in the back for Chattanooga Christian is phenomenal. I don't think anything in the Chattanooga area will compare to them this year. I mean, because you got 3 of them, and they're absolute studs. But I got them playing BGA, and I think honestly, if I had one team in the Chattanooga area to make it to the second round, I think it would be Chattanooga Christian.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at. If they make it to the second round, if there is one where I think Chattanooga Christian will be that one, to me, golly, I just for Division II AA, I just think it's going to be a good year at all. Usually you have 2 or 3 that could do it, but I think this year it's just not possible.
I think I did, and I think you did too, and maybe Chris thought Boyd was going to go in this season, the same as last year, and
especially with all that preparation time, starting the season later. I thought, well, if that helps anybody, that's Boyd. But I think what we saw with Boyd was that last year they were, they kind of jumped on the adrenaline train, and not to say that Boskins hadn't done a great job there. He's still doing a great job there. But I think they were running on a little bit of adrenaline there from, being, 0-10 the season before to now. They're kind of expected to win. They weren't expected to win last year. I think Boyd Buchanan is still a year or 2, maybe 3 off, because I think they had that adrenaline last year, but still they kind of dropped off this year. I think they're going to have some momentum, to build that up.
Mm-hmm. That's all I've got on that.
Well, let's go to Division AAA now. Number 1 in the East. Right now on the screen, that's the entire state in Division II AAA, because there's only 2. There's the East, Middle, and then there's the West. Brentwood Academy, I've got at number 1. They're 8-0 right now. They've already beaten McCallie, so that's out of the way. McCallie at number 2, Baylor number 3, Father Ryan number 4. And honestly, right now, Father Ryan and Baylor are a toss-up for me. The only reason I have Baylor there is because I'm optimistic, and that's just me talking. And by the way, I want to say something. Baylor does end up seed here. They're not going to be the 2 seed because they've already lost to McCallie, and I think McCallie's shown us that they can still hang tough. To me, I just Baylor, and Baylor's going to be out in the first round. I think Brentwood Academy is going to be in the finals. And by the way, I made a boo-boo here. If you're looking at this from there, I forgot to put the semifinal or the finals there. It's the championship game instead of the quarterfinals on this one. This on my graphic, John. Don't look too hard for that one. Christian Brothers, I think they'll beat Father Ryan. McCallie, NBA, that's not a good matchup for them in the first round. To me, McCallie and Baylor, and this is not going to be hopeful for a lot of our Chattanooga area teams, but they could be out here in the first round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I see Brentwood in the championship, and I see them winning this year. I mean, just everything that I've seen, in that region and all that, Brentwood has, this is their year for that region.
Yeah.
And McCallie they were close.
Yeah.
But I just don't. I think.
Now I do have hope for McCallie. I think McCallie, if any other team in the East is in the middle in the East is gonna do something, I think it will be McCallie. And I think McCallie, if anybody has a chance, they'll go to the championship. I think I would choose them over Christian Brothers.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: they'll be in the only thing that is in the second round. Guess where they'll be? They'll probably be traveling to Christian Brothers because Christian Brothers will have the top seed there. I mean, that's just where we're at. That's where I think McCallie has the best chance out of the East besides Brentwood Academy, but they've got NBA first game, Christian Brothers second game, and then you have to play Brentwood Academy the third game. I mean, golly, that is a gauntlet after what's already going to be an extremely difficult season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think McCallie won't have any problem with the NBA, but
really?
I don't.
Okay.
I just see them. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be a comfortable lead, but I think it's going to be one of those that if they do get to play each other, that you won't really worry about it. You know, it might be close, but you will have that feeling that they're going to just win. And the only difference I think I've got in our bracket is I got Father Ryan at 3 and Baylor at 4. because Father Ryan beat Baylor last week.
Yeah.
So.
And I'm just optimistic about Baylor right now. I think that Baylor was a better team than Father Ryan, and I think they can still fix the wrongs to get in there.
Well,
but
they're going to have to. I think
they're going to have things go their way. I think Father Ryan. I was actually looking at their record. I thought they were, they had a pretty good record there, and the games that they lost were pretty close, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Baylor, I think, is going to. If I'm not mistaken, they're going to have to win out, and Father Ryan's going to have to lose one.
Along the way.
In order for Baylor to take that third seed, because if they end up tying, then you got that head-to-head, which Father Ryan will take third. But
yeah, and next week I may not be as optimistic about Baylor. I may be putting Father Ryan there. I seriously had that conversation with myself to put Father Ryan at number 3 and Baylor at number 4. I don't think Baylor's going to be much worse than they are. I don't think they're going to miss the playoffs, but it's definitely not going to be preferential when they do make the playoffs, because they've either got Christian Brothers at number 1 or they got Pope John Paul II, who is having a really good year this year as well. I was looking at their record. They played some quality teams, and golly, Pope John Paul, they're usually not not one of those top teams,
I feel
but
like they're competitive. They're just not up there,
They've been competitive in the past few years. I think they are up there this year, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Pope John Paul playing a close game with Brentwood Academy. I think they're that good out west. That is Division II AAA. We're going to talk for a minute, John. I want to get your take on this. This is a thought I'd had the other day, and this will be the only topic we'll talk about. We got other topics we'll talk about at the end of the show. This is a wrap-up segment. What do you call that? This is our two-minute drill. It's going to be way longer than 2 minutes. Is that the segment?
I can make it in 2 minutes.
All right, there's a 2-minute drill. All right, your first thought. I'll put a timer on the screen. We'll see how we do. We'll do it like PTI, okay? Starting now. All right. John, I got to know your thoughts on a potential different bracket. You take the top 2 teams from each region instead of the top 4, but the 3 and the 4 seeds in each region are eligible for bowl games. Your thoughts on that?
That's been an idea that I've had. I've wrestled with it, and, I would like to see TLSAA do something like that. If you look at the FCS playoff, it's set up. They could set up like that. Top two teams. Yeah, I ain't gonna get done in 2 minutes. You might as well go.
He's got this all played out. He's thought about this for years.
It's all mapped out in my room. But no, I'm just.
Are you got like the conspiracy threads going from this bulletin board to that bulletin board?
I got the needles in the wall there. But no, I think you take the top 2 teams in each region. You give. I'm trying to think of this off the top of my head, but you give. Let's see, there's 8 regions. That's 16 teams. You take the next 16 teams, which make 32, you give them the next best team. You pull them up, and the region's number 1 teams get that bye, and then you send the next best 8 teams in the east and middle, and then the next best that will play in regions 4 through 8, you send them to, the west, middle, and west Tennessee. And I think competition will be a whole lot better.
You talking about with I'm talking about you're talking about public schools, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just talking about public schools. Private schools, make the playoffs if you want to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
Put as many in the playoffs as you want. That's where I'm kind of at on that.
Public schools, I always felt like the number 1 team should get a bye. I think they deserve it.
Yeah.
Number 2 you got those 8 teams that I guess you call it like as a playing game, and you go from there.
Okay, I'm with that. I'm with that completely. As far as a
competition.
So let me get this straight. I've kind of been paying attention, kind of not. That's my fault.
Yeah, that's all right.
You want the first 2 seeds, and then the 3 seed gets kind of like.
So what? Okay.
You did mention the 3 seed. I thought I heard you mention the 3 seed.
Well, what I mean is let's say, let me pull up one. Let's do 3A, okay?
Okay.
You've got Loudon and Red Bank. We know they're going to be number 1, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll say Loudon's number 1, speaking hypothetically.
Okay.
So Loudon's going to get that bye, okay?
Yep.
Once they find out who the top 2 teams are in that region, the rest of the teams that didn't make the 1 and 2 cut, they get ordered
1, 3, 4, and then 2 get to play in for the right to go to that 3 seed.
The next best 8 teams in general will play that number 2 seed to play in.
Wait,
let's table that.
Okay.
Can we discuss that next week?
Okay. Now, an idea that I had was either do the we're going to call this the not 2-minute drill segment because we have definitely gone over 2 minutes. The 2 ideas I had was the one I presented to you where they get it where you're eligible for a bowl game. And here's the thing. What that does, John, is that still gets the T-Ball its money. Because I think the only reason that we're in the segment, in the position we're in, is because the T-Ball wants its money. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing about this, John, and I hate to say this, but we have 9 state championships. That's more than enough. We already have 9 championships in this state. Let's just if you want to have 9 championships, that's fine. But give me the 1 and 2 seeds, right? Give me the 1 and 2 seeds. And then let everybody else, maybe if you want to do a 3 seed, maybe say the top 3 seeds go. And then the first seed gets a bye, and the 2 and 3 seeds from the opposite regions are playing each other to play the 1 seed from the other region, right? So the 2 seed so if you have region 1, region 2, okay, both 1 seeds get a bye. Mm-hmm. Region 2 seed, region 1 2 seed plays the region 2 3 seed, and they'll play the 1 seed from the region 4. Now, I'll tell you what, John, what we'll do is if you'll give me a map out how you would do it, how your bracket would look, I think we can put this on next week, and that can be our ending segment, our non-2-minute drill. Yeah. But that's one I had was have 3 and then have a bye somewhere in there. Because the first seed, they deserve a bye. And I think the only thing against that is that a lot of coaches are like, I don't want to buy. And I get that. I really do get that. But I think that's where a lot of coaches are. Well, I don't want to buy. I don't want to do this. I just want to keep that momentum going. But I like that. I like the bowl idea. That was something I had thrown around, or somebody had thrown around to me this week, was what about the top 2 seeds go to the playoffs? They're seeded however they are. And then next thing you know, everybody, the 3 and 4 seed, they're eligible for a bowl. Or if you are...
You want me to bring up my homeschool football segment again?
Nope, we're not doing it. We're not doing the homeschool bowls. No. We're not even bringing that into the equation. Because here's the thing. I think that situation still gets the Cheetah Bustle its money. Because all those teams, every one of those teams is playing, they're just playing for 1 game. And you could schedule those out to where they weren't all on, week 12. They could be on week 12. They could be on week 13. They could be on week 14, which is, the usual rounds or whatever. And then you shorten the playoffs a little bit, which actually helps a lot of teams that probably are so doggone tired toward the end of that season. Mm-hmm. I think that is a perfect solution for what we're looking at here. Any other suggestions there, John?
Mm-mm.
All right, then. This has been Playoff-Ology. I'm Chandler Morrison.
I'm John Boston.
You going to look at the camera, John? You don't tell them again?
They won't look at me.
I'm Chandler Morrison. This is John Boston. This has been Playoff-Ology. Hope you have enjoyed the show. Hope you've enjoyed the conversation. Please comment, like, rate, and review on our podcast. You can find this on Facebook. You can find it on YouTube. You can find it on IGTV. You can also find the SETM Preps podcast wherever you can find podcasts. That is on Pandora, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and a slew of others. And, you can find us on Facebook. You can find me and John on Twitter and Chris on Twitter as well. You can find us on Twitter at SETM Preps. You can find all our tags there on SETM Preps. Also, go to our website, SETMPreps.com. We'd love to see you there. We'd love to see you hear about Playoff-Ology. Tell us if you liked it. Tell us what you want to see. Tell us if you think we're just dead wrong. We'd love to hear all of it. Am I right, John?
It's probably gonna be the latter.
It probably will be the last one. But it's good to see y'all, and I hope y'all have a good week. And if you can't find, if you don't have a team to root for, just go find a team to root for. Find one of the teams we told you is on the bubble. Go watch a bubble game. That's what you need to do. So I'm Chandler Morrison. This is John Boston. We'll see you later.